Ladies and gentlemen, if you had the choice to be a black belt in jiu-jitsu, ripped, shredded body, obviously multi-millionaire, but the number one podcast, number one YouTube channel, number one Spotify channel, basically the most interesting or famous, intriguing media personality on the planet, completely self-made, from like humble beginnings in like a podcast that he was starting out during tough times, like he picked himself up from a tough situation and became a worldwide, not just celebrity, because he was already on like a hit show in the 90s. But after that, he could have gone in one of many directions. I'm speaking about Joe Rogan. So look at Joe Rogan, and I'm not even going to talk about you know what and all of that. Okay? Obesity, being extremely fat and overweight. Being a little overweight is not an issue. Being extremely fat where your neck beard is popping out and the hairs on your neck beard are like, just like porcupine, like quills, that's an issue. Okay? But who would you rather be if you were comparing two people? Now this like bizarre new generational thing where people talk about alpha or whatever, that's not about that. Like you couldn't find a more calm, like, sincere, genuine person than Joe Rogan. Okay? Is he right about everything? No, nobody's right about everything. But does he have an interesting viewpoint based on fact? Yes. Now let's look at the person who is criticizing this man for what's quote-unquote misinformation. NBC News, YouTuber Ethan Klein criticizes Joe Rogan for misinformation. Okay, number one, that is a subjective term that has become a categorical fact. When you're having a debate or a discussion, you can say that, oh well, my adversary or my opponent or the person who disagrees with me is misinformed. Well, there's a rebuttal to that. Notice how they're not saying factually incorrect, making false statements, categorically false statements. When you use the phrase misinformed, you're alluding to somebody manipulating context or presenting an argument in a manner that doesn't take into account your sensibilities or the context that you want to be addressed. That is another way of saying, I disagree with your argument and here's why. It's not a fact check, nor is it a categorical statement. Okay? Hit subscribe to this channel right now. A fact check is the Dodgers won the 1955 World Series, Brooklyn Dodgers, end of story. Not, I spoke to this ESPN reporter and he or she said, or I spoke to this authority on baseball and he or she said this. It is a fact. A fact check is a categorical claim that is either disproven or false, because the actual fact has shown that the initial claim is false. That's called an argument or a debate where truth or reason rests with one statement or another. Okay? You can't make false statements, which are categorically false, and expect to win any argument. Furthermore, you can't say someone is misinformed because they're speaking to a scientist who helped create the actual technology that people like everyone gleefully, consumes. Okay? There is no debate, discourse, discussion. It's just a person who perhaps has an IV drip of Krispy Kreme into his aorta or veins, telling Joe Rogan, who survived, you know what. So this paranoia and hysteria over something that Joe Rogan already survived with his, however he decided to do it. That's the irony of all of this, in addition to, the Pillsbury Doughboy saying, oh, well, look at Joe Rogan. It's like, no. Obesity is a prime factor. It is one of the major causes of people who go to and whose lives end. It is one of the major causes. People who have to be checked into okay, so with the algorithm, we have to be very careful. I am not like, you could be like a couple of pounds overweight, but when your neck is bulging out and you are pontificating about health, and if you ran a block, like, a helicopter would have to come pick you up and take you to, that's an issue. Okay? Ethan Klein is speaking to a certain type of person who thinks that if they just get a certain type of, if they get the you-know-what, then they're okay, regardless of what they do. Like, no. You have to not be morbidly obese or unhealthy or have numerous pre-existing conditions. And if you have those things, the average age of somebody who loses their life in California from you-know-what is 72 years old, according to the government data. That 3-letter wonderful agency, 80% of all the lives lost are over 65. More people lost their lives from cancer and heart disease than you-know-what. We have tanked our entire society. And the people who say, well, Joe Rogan is causing people to lose their lives. Eric Swalwell, AOC, Gavin Newsom, Megan Whitmer. We have, who else? Nancy Pelosi. We're all caught with you-know-what off. How many lives did they end? Okay? All the great leading authorities change their tune. It's okay, you don't have to do this. Oh, now you have to do that. Oh, yeah. How many lives were lost? And so you're talking about a religion now. You're talking about this mass hysteria. It's a religion. The reality is that cancer and heart disease, if you are very overweight and you're obese and your entire day is sitting on your rear end, and like I said on my rear end doing this, but I do like to work out. Am I completely ripped? No. But it's not, I can deadlift 315, 330. That's not a lot. Bench press 250, 300. It's not a lot. Okay? If you're into it. I'm not saying that you have to do that to be healthy and safe, and that's fine. I'm not very fast at running a mile. Okay? But the other night, 95-pound dumbbells each. And so you could see I have my Clinton email workout. You could see me work out. Could I lose a couple of pounds? Sure. But at least I have, like, the ability, muscle mass to actually exercise. And I have, like, some muscle on me. So it's not like I wouldn't tell anyone what to do or criticize anyone for their body type unless they're extremely unhealthy looking, and criticizing somebody who is extremely healthy and actually survived you-know-what. The misinformation is coming from Ethan Klein. He also engaged in slander. There's a YouTube segment that he did, and Joe Rogan is like so amazing. He like anyone else should have sued Mr. Klein, but this is on YouTube, and I don't know how YouTube keeps this. Joe Rogan thinks 1930s and 1940s Germans are good. Of course, it was a different name. That was with Hassan Piker and Ethan Klein. H3 podcast highlights. Took a screenshot of it. Okay. That's, of course, It's not even a straw man argument. It's slander. They're actually making up quotes from Joe Rogan. He's never stated that, nor has he ever alluded to that. And in their warped, very warped minds, they have to, create this fabricated alternate universe. Now, again, who do you want to be? Just forget, let's say you're watching this and you're like, oh my God, the misinformation has ended so many people's lives. Well, then, who's taking Joe Rogan or anyone who has a different viewpoint? Who's taking Dr. Robert Malone? Who's taking all these people to court? You have to, when you make this apoplectic, hysterical claim that Joe Rogan is costing people's lives, you have to prove that in a court of law, because there are already laws that prevent you from saying something and that directly causing someone to lose their life. Okay? There are laws already. Yes, free speech comes with consequences or responsibility. Guess what? You cannot prove the apoplectic and hysterical claim that you've made against Joe Rogan or anyone with a different viewpoint. You can't prove that in a court of law. It's a hysterical, apoplectic, irrational, oftentimes slanderous statement to say that because you said something that wasn't approved by the revered, holy authorities of our age, that information ended someone's life. Again, I'm not saying that because, I can lift some heavy weights or because, Joe Rogan is an infinitely better athlete than I am. And like I said, black belt in jiu-jitsu, completely ripped. So the mentality, though, that he's less healthy than Ethan Klein is exactly why we have this horrible situation regarding you-know-what. We live in a world where as long as you eat McDonald's and Burger King and In-N-Out and do whatever you want, sit on your rear end all day and just simply, take whatever you're supposed to take, that you're healthy then. But eating well, taking vitamins, making sure you have your blood pressure is good, okay? Just checked my blood pressure the other day for my physical. Perfect. Thank God. Thank God. Okay? What do you think that obese YouTuber's blood pressure is? Maybe it's perfect. What are the chances that he has a high blood pressure? I don't know. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's perfectly healthy. What are the chances you think he's on his way to diabetes? I don't know. I'm not saying he is. What do you think the chances are if your neck is swelling out and the hairs on your neck are basically screaming out, please, no more pressure? What do you think the chances are? So you're at risk of not only heart disease, but diabetes, and that's like a prime determining factor of how your outcome is if you, and like I said, according to the data, or we don't even get into that, okay? Okay, Johns Hopkins, 98 to 99%. Okay. And the percentages and the ratios and all of that are dependent on your existing health. So the notion that Joe Rogan harmed more people than Ethan Klein is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. The notion that you have a YouTuber who and then mentally, all he does is insult people, get into beefs. That's how he grew his channel. And he made slanderous comments. Again, Joe Rogan should sue him. But Joe Rogan is so, atop the Mount Olympus that he probably doesn't even care. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe to this channel. Hit subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel to read my writing in The Hill, the Huffington Post, Salon, the Jerusalem Post. My Federalist article is below on the upcoming stock market crash. To my new Patreons, thank you so very, very much. I appreciate your support. I can't do this without you. Thank you.